everyone, it's Suze from Be My Cook. If you're new here, welcome. Today I have a wonderful recipe for you for apple season, and it's called Apple Cinnamon Bundt Cake, so stay tuned. So let me show you one of the first steps that we're going to use to make our apple cinnamon bundt cake. And that is I chopped up 3 Macintosh apples. We don't want them too big. And I'm going to add the juice of a half of a lemon and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're just going to mix this around. We don't want our apples to turn brown. So let's just mix this up really well. Meanwhile, go ahead and turn on your oven to 350 degrees. We want to get that preheated. Okay, that looks good. We're just gonna let that go for now. So in my stand mixer, I have 2 cups of sugar and 1 cup of salted butter. And we're just gonna turn our mixer on and get this light and fluffy. Now we're going to add 1 egg at a time. Whoops. I got 2 in there, but that's okay. Let's get this mixed up. Okay, that looks good. We're going to add 1 cup of sour cream. And we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. This is a very flavorful cake. It's one that I love. Let's get this started. So our batter is now done, and we're just going to add our apple. Let's stir our apples in. It smells so good right now. In this bowl over here, I have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour, and I'm going to add in a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. Just going to stir this up with a whisk to make sure that it's all incorporated. And we're going to add this a little bit at a time to our bowl so that we can mix it. We don't want to over mix. A little bit at a time. Now we're going to put this in a 10-inch tube pan, which is a Bundt pan, and you want to spray that with some cooking spray. This is turning out to getting a little bit thicker now, and this will be the last of the flour. A really nice batter, bakes up really nice. Now this cake is going to be dense. It's not going to be light and fluffy. This is going to be a little bit more dense than what you think because of the apples, but that's what makes it so good. In this bowl, I have a ½ cup of brown sugar packed, I have a tablespoon of cinnamon, and 1 cup of chopped pecans. And I'm just going to mix those all together. Because this mixture is what we're going to use on the middle of our bundt cake. We're going to put half the batter in our bundt pan, and then we're going to sprinkle this in the middle. And then we're going to put the other half of the batter on top. And then we're going to bake it. And then lots of deliciousness will follow after the cake is done. All right, so I've got this mixed up pretty well. We're just going to set that aside. I don't need it right now. So let me take my tube pan and spray it generously. Make sure you get that center. Looks pretty good. Well, let's start to put in our batter. So as a rule, I try to put in the first layer, and then I'll put in our center layer because I want to make sure I have enough for the top. This is going to bake up pretty well. So I have not quite a half of our pan filled with batter, and that's what I want. Now I'm going to come over here and use my hands just to make sure everything is incorporated in our other bowl here. And we're going to sprinkle that on all over the middle. And this is what's going to give this unique flavor. And this will make it more dense too, because the apples and then the pecans, and they're not exactly small chunks. So this cake, you're going to get all those wonderful flavors. Now we're going to add the rest of our batter on the top. Sometimes this can be tricky, so I'm going to take my time and put the batter on the top. Make sure that I get it even. There's no rush with this. Just keep turning the dish. We have a local apple orchard in town, and we went and bought these apples. And if I can, I'll insert a clip of the place where we bought our apples. It's pretty popular. They have a festival every year around this time, October. You can pick your own apples. They also have a bakery there, which is where I got this recipe. They make all kinds of apple recipes there. Now, don't push it down and pack it. We don't want to do that. We just want to move it around so that it's even on the top, so it bakes evenly. We're going to put this in our 350-degree preheated oven for about an hour and check it every once in a while. See that if it's done, if it comes out clean with a toothpick or a skewer, you're good. Our cake is now out of the oven, and I cooked mine for about an hour and 5 minutes. It is totally done. I'm going to let it cool on this rack, and we are going to invert it in about 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that it comes out of the pan. So our cake is now cool, and I just have it on a couple pieces of parchment paper on my cake stand, and we're going to make a glaze for the top. So I'm going to take some heavy cream, and I have 2 cups of powdered sugar here. I'm just going to add about a tablespoon right now. I want this to be like a glaze, but I also want it to be a little bit thicker, but not like a frosting. So just a little bit at a time. Add another tablespoon. Just kind of eyeball it. Okay, I'm going to add about a half of a teaspoon of vanilla. I want it to have the hint of vanilla, but I don't want a big strong flavor of vanilla. Way too thick, so I'm going to add another tablespoon and make sure that it's all mixed up really well. 1 more teaspoon I think will be good. Let's see here. This is about what I want. Thick enough to stick onto the cake. Let's take our glaze and start putting it on our cake. Just let it drip down the sides. That's why I had the parchment paper here, so I can peel that off underneath the cake once our glaze starts to set. I think we have plenty on this cake right now. Now we're just going to let it set, and then I'll be back to show you what it looks like when I cut the cake. Okay everybody, here is our apple cinnamon bundt cake. Look at that deliciousness. Lots of apples and cinnamon and pecans with that wonderful glaze on top. Here is a piece that I cut. Look at that. This is excellent, guys. And if you want to make this cake for your holiday meals or any other time during the fall. This is awesome. Tastes great. Everybody's gonna love it. Get yourself some fresh apples from the orchard and make yourself this apple cinnamon bundt cake. So to see more recipes, subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.